My name is Russ. I founded and I run Reactor Studios. We are a full-service development agency. We're the WordPress VSP feature partners with both the client service side and the plugin side. I write code and I talk to people about training to write code. And mine at the moment would be probably Tiana. I have a daughter, so I know all of them. Yep.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. So the way this is going to work is I've got some questions, and we're going to talk about them, and then I'm going to try to save some time at the end for your guys' questions. So if you have any, think about them in the back of your head, we'll have some time for that. All right. I want to get a little bit of a sense of who's in the room so that we all know who we're talking to. So how many of you guys run a business? Like you're the one who's in charge of it. Nice. All right. How many of you guys maybe are independent? So you do your own thing, but you don't have employees. Maybe you do a contractors or whatever. All right. And then how many of you work for someone else? So you're not running it. Some of you do all of you just don't even know.
Jesse, do you are you okay?
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I think we all like to know who we're talking to so that we can kind of tailor what we're talking about. All right. Cool. So this is going to be my last question for all of you guys to answer, just so that everybody gets a sense of what you guys do. But could you talk a little bit about maybe the size of your business, how many people you employ, and kind of what type of work you're primarily doing, whether that's service, product, support, that kind of stuff. So really quick.
Yeah, quick. Let's see. So our agency is about 8 people, and then we have a couple of primary subcontractors that we use for some highly specialized wet work services. Dangerous work. As far as what we specialize in, we do a lot of WordPress. We've got members of the team who have code contributed to core. And we have an MBA with a degree in digital marketing, the first one to graduate with that degree out of UCF. So highly specialized in pay-per-click, we're a Google partner. So between WordPress, Shopify, and then just digital marketing in general, those are the things that we really crush things and jump out of birthday cake with.
So with Luminary, we're 3 people. It's me as well as 2 developers. And for the most part, we're doing probably 90% WordPress. We're the primary consultant for unique digital downloads. So when somebody has a customization request or anything like that, they're coming in our way. So we're doing a lot of e-commerce stuff and building systems. So order management systems we've been doing, or stock management systems. So we're definitely doing a lot of systems lately.
My company's pretty straightforward. It's just me. So if the CEO gets hit by a bus, we're in trouble. I focus strictly on WordPress. I used to dabble in Shopify, but I'd rather just do WordPress if it was up to me. Big fan of Genesis, so I do a lot of stuff with that.
So our team is about 20 right now. That grew really fast, actually. We've only really been around for a few years, so it's been a really neat experience to see that. We specialize in high traffic support. So our average client has over 1 million visits a month. They're making their sole income or a majority of their income from their site. Your sites can't be down. So we do that, but the beauty about what we do is that support leads right into custom development, right into branding. Every time they need something, we're there for them. So we kind of extend ourselves as a digital partner to work side by side with our clients and tailor that relationship, but we're really specialized in just making sure they're always on and functioning.
We're a team of 5, and we're distributed. We focus almost exclusively on very customized, very high-end development, very weird things. We would like to build things that haven't been built yet. We also have some commercial products that I focus a lot on, at least in the past 6-9 months. And we kind of split our time between the two. We have some retainer stuff, but mostly it's very weird. I don't know way to put it. It's just stuff that no one knows how to do it yet. So that's why we do it.
All right, so it seems like we've got some product stuff, we've got some support stuff. And a lot of you guys are doing service, that's your primary business. So the elephant in the room question that almost inevitably has to get asked at everything is where do you get work? And what I want to know, for those of you who want to answer, is not only right now, where do you most often get work from, but how has that changed over time? Like, did you used to get work in different ways and now it's different, and kind of maybe what contributed to that? So whoever wants to answer. Okay.
So in the beginning, when I first started the agency, it was just me on this was before IKEA, so it was just something, probably like a school I found on the side of the road. It was my desk in Sanford. At that time, it was friends and family were my clients. Like, hey, you started a business out of high school. You might need a website, right? And they're like, what's a website? So that was easy. And then over time, it became SEO as a pretty key indicator of creating new business. I would say that probably 80% of our business is word of mouth, and then about 20% is straight from the web through SEO. So we rank pretty high organically for a couple important keywords. And what's interesting is that 20% actually generates a significant amount more work because all of that becomes word of mouth, and all of those people have networks we've never touched before.
For me, as a freelancer, it's all over the board. I don't have the budget to really throw into SEO and like really focus it the way I probably should. So right now, I have really good relationships with other developers that when they get work they can't take on, they send it to me because they know I do good work. And I've cultivated relationships with creative agencies that don't have developers on staff, and that's been a huge part is being able to get their work done because they know they need someone they can trust and that's reliable. And for a freelancer, from what I've been able to gather, that's the most important thing, is someone that they can call and know things are going to get done and get done on time.
So I actually started doing this in '98. So I've been doing work a long time. And Florida is actually really small. When I worked with Andrew years before I got really big into WordPress. So it's just, but the interesting thing about that is you do a good job once, everyone's going to remember that. And I still get leads from someone I worked with maybe 10 years ago from just because we did a good job. And we're still around in business and we haven't burned bridges. So I would say most of our work just comes from doing good work for years and years and years. The other biggest source of our leads is really vendor referrals. So.
When I started, I still had a full-time non-development job. I worked with clients, and so I did this all the time. And I would actually, when I very first started, I would keep a search column like in executive, the phrase WordPress help. And sometimes I could answer it with a tweet. Sometimes it would be 10 minutes of my time. I would never charge people for it. But what I've been able to do is, I still have 2 clients in that era, but it's always been word of mouth up until like last year. We never advertised anywhere. Everything was almost in spite of myself. And now that we're one of the featured VFP partners, like we do get links from them. Those have been honestly qualified before they ever showed in our door. And beyond that, it's absolutely referrals. It's being at events like this, especially non-WordPress events. Probably the last 2 years, it's been different. It's a different tier of client. Especially when we're working with other agencies. We found that's been pretty good for us. Is very design, marketing focused agencies that just don't have development.
Okay. So what does the workload look like to you guys? And the reason I ask that is because that tends to be an evolving process. I know especially people that get started at, like you said, as like a night and weekend kind of project, and then you move into starting to do it full time. We often start by doing just a lot of work at every hour of the day. What does your workload look like now at the point you're at? And is that kind of where you want it to be? Or do you hands-on degree, or more Word, less Word? What are you kind of putting up with?
So right now my goal is actually to make it so that the company is self-sufficient without me except for sales. So it's been for the most part that I've been doing project management, admin work. You know, we get a receipt. I have to literally file it, make sure it's in the accounting software, all that kind of stuff. So right now my goal is to make it so I'm not doing all that. And as a result, I'm actually spending more time before I can spend less time. So I'm spending that more time going through and actually making sure we have those systems and processes in the way to actually have a technical project manager, have somebody that's like a virtual assistant for me. So right now I'm definitely spending a lot more time. And at the same time, I'm also trying to increase sales. So that's where I'm spending more time. It used to be that the business was working just fine over the summer, and so I wasn't putting in as many hours, relatively speaking. But now it's one of those things where it's, if I want to expand our growth, then I really have to put in more hours. I don't know if you want us to talk about like specific number of hours, or if it's kind of
whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay.
Too many. I see. That's the other thing. Like I work 7 days a week, and I don't care. Like that's just what I do. It's one of those things. If you're running your business, you kind of choose how many hours you want to dedicate. I mean, it's tough though because you have clients that are really still your boss. That's how they tell you how many hours you work, right?
Yeah, when I was starting, it was, nights and weekends, but it was still probably 30, 40 hours a week, combined with 50-hour-a-week job, and sleep. And then when I got started, I was by myself. I was doing all of the work, combined with all of the admin and everything on top of it. There was a period of time for about 18 months that I was working about 100 hours a week. I looked like death. Literally, I was horrible in standard, and I could recommend doing that. At this point, I still probably do 50, maybe 60 hours a week, but the type of work, I don't do as much development as I did before. I still probably spend about 50, 60% of my time writing code, but there's more admin, there's more sales, there's more business development, there's more just everything, community stuff, that the hours don't seem as much because, I can answer an email while I'm watching TV. I can't write code and do anything else other than write code. So when I'm spending my time has changed. I just take the afternoon off because I get lunch when I have kids, whereas I never could do that before. So, the hours are kind of, they change a bit here and there. How hard I feel I'm working changes a lot, but it's still, it's still a huge part of my life. So there's some weeks it's 80, some weeks it's 40. It depends on how much time.
Yeah, I'd say as an entrepreneur, this isn't just a job, it's a hobby, it's a passion, it's how I enjoy spending my time. So, I think the workload has maybe always been the same. I will say I have started tracking my hours, which you realize, whoa, I'm reaching 60 hours, I'm going to go take a break. It's like, so at that point, tracking it helped me cut back my time, but the actual work that I'm doing, it's been the same, and it's been the same for years, and kind of tying back, you do good work, the work's always going to be there, so it's like, I'll need more, I just go back to the buffet. So it's as much as I wanted to work, but I definitely cut it back for health and sanity reasons.
The other thing I want to add, the funny thing is, I actually used to work for Scott, and the reason I'm not working for Scott anymore is because my family owns a restaurant, and so I had to find a way to be able to split time between what my passion was and what my family obligations were. And so the reason I went freelance was because I needed to be able to make my own and set my own schedule. It wasn't fair to my boss to be like, yeah, sorry, today I can't work because I have to be at the restaurant at 2 and it's an hour drive. I'd show up, get a couple things done, and my mind really wasn't on it. Whereas with freelance, I can go, okay, these days I know I'm not needed at the restaurant. I can work a 12-hour day if I need to and get that project done. And so that's the great thing about being a freelancer. You can, by setting your own schedule, you can also pick your projects to work around that. And so I hope I'm never in that 100-hour a week range. But if it is, I hope it'll be worth it after a couple weeks, and then I can take a vacation. So maybe that'll be worth it.
So for me, back in 2008, 2009, I was probably averaging somewhere between 70 and 80 hours a week. and kind of running your own business, for those of you in the room who are maintaining a business, 50, 60 hours a week is probably an average for somebody maintaining. If you're trying to grow a business, there's no amount of hours in the week that are enough. So, but that being said, it didn't feel like work to me. This isn't work. This is my passion. It's a hobby. All of that is all true. But that doesn't change the fact that there's also family and health and other things that have to be taken into account. And 2 years ago, when my wife got sick, I dramatically changed the way that I work and how I work and where my focus is. Because let me tell you, when life gets real, your priorities will dramatically shift. And now I work maybe 45, 50 hours a week on average, and I'm actually getting more work done, and I feel more fulfilled, and I feel like we're doing better work than we've ever done before. So it's something to take into consideration. When you're young and you're earning your chops, put in all the hours, sure. But there's going to come a time when you need to make the shift, and that shift should make your life infinitely better. Oh, sorry.
Because I know I started, but even adding on that, it actually is that sometimes if you set a lower number of hours that you're going to work per week, you do more, right? So you'll accomplish more within that time because you know, rather than just saying, yeah, I'm going to work throughout the week, then you kind of put it off. You don't really have set due dates for yourself or timelines. But if you really say, you know what, I'm going to finish everything by 5 p.m., you're going to tack it all in, right? So it's definitely it's beneficial sometimes even just to cut down the number of hours you have, because you'll still figure out a way to get done the same amount of work in the same number of hours.
This is actually perfect because before we start getting into more nitty gritty details, it's really actually interesting the concept of growth and success. And everybody kind of has a stereotypical view of what growth looks like to a business, like getting bigger or whatever. But that actually can be very different depending on what each individual business's goals are. So I'd like to hear from whoever wants to. What is your business's definition of growth and of success? And maybe if that's changed as you've been in business and learned some lessons. Whoever wants to.
For me, it was interesting because leaving my agency job in part to help out my family, I knew I wasn't going to be making as much money helping out my family. And in fact, I don't get paid working at the restaurant. So, other than tips. So, that's not enough to replicate my salary. So, my goal for success is to replicate my old salary. If I can do that, then I'm happy. Anything else than that is gravy at this point. But as now I look to the future, the restaurant is starting to get its feet under itself, and they don't need me as much. So now I can dedicate more time. But at what point does the amount of projects I take on, the amount of time that I spend, does it start affecting the great family life that I have? And the ability to maybe just go to the restaurant as a patron and just spend time with my kid because she's still young enough where she's not in school yet. So if I want to take her to Disney for a day, I can do that. So for me, it's all about, can I make enough money to afford the good things that I want to do? It's not I don't have a set dollar amount. So as long as I can enjoy those things, because if we're not enjoying life, what's the point?
Financials have always been weird because there are some people that they're absolutely hung up on money. It's like I need to make X amount of dollars, and for some folks it's a matter of I have these bills, I have these responsibilities, and I do too. Like I've got kids, I have a mortgage. There is a set amount of dollars that I need to bring in on a monthly basis just to keep living where I am. Everything beyond that, I really could not care less. There was a point in my life where I had 2 bags of clothes and an overdrawn checking account. I know what that was like. I know what this is like, and I've been everywhere in between. The amount of money that is sitting in my bank has never, over and above a certain point, has never affected my life in any positive way. So, I have this much money, now I feel better about myself. That's just not been my experience. And more importantly, if I'm working so much to get this amount of money, like I was talking about, I'm not spending time with my kids. I'm not present for the rest of my life. And the period of time that I was working, I was building, I wasn't growing, I was building my business. That work, looking back, it had to be done. and it probably sped up the process of building it. If anything in my life would have been different at that time, I would not have been able to do it. And I've never felt as though it was the right thing to do. It was just the thing that I did. So at this point, it's like my version of success, I can pay my employees. I can pay myself. I know that if I want to go out and take my wife out to dinner and go get a nice steak and get tattooed, we can do that. We've done that. If we want.
Every other Tuesday.
We were joking earlier about a vacation. Like a week after Thanksgiving, we're going on a cruise with no internet on purpose. It's part of the reason why I'm going on the cruise. But like I know that I can afford that. I work enough to be able to enjoy the life that I have. I don't work enough to be able to point at zeros. Like when I worked in finance, I managed money for very large clients that had a whole lot of money. None of it was mine, and it was zeros on a spreadsheet. And most of them were miserable. I mean, they had millions upon millions of dollars, and they were nitpicking about 20 cents. So money won't change things in that regard.
Yeah, I'll agree with everything WordPress said. It's not really about the dollar amount. What's success to us is our employees are happy, our team is happy, our clients are happy, and our bills are paid. Other than that, it's just another day hanging out with friends and making cool stuff. And I don't think about it outside of that. At least I don't worry about that part of it because I already found success. I got a great team, really. Get to make stuff on a basis. So I don't really worry about it.
You can drop the mic on that one.
Yeah.
Perfect. So for those of you whose success and growth has had to do with physically making your company larger than yourself, basically all of you started as yourself, what influenced your decision to either hire or partner with or whatever that first other person decided to do on a permanent scale? What was that like, and is that different than the decisions that you're using to continue to hire people at work today?
I had a really tough decision back in 2005. I had started working with clients back in 2001 and 2002, and they were outgrowing me. I was putting them in places they'd never been before. I was doing Google AdWords advertising for them when nobody knew what that was or that it was even something you could do. And these mom and pops are turning into these multi-million-dollar organizations, and they're starting to ask me for things that I literally can't do. I'm one person. I can't do these 7 jobs for you. They're like, you're the only one that knows how to do this stuff. We need you to do that. So I was either going to get fired by the clients that I actually made, or I was going to be forced to grow up and be an adult and try to run a business instead of just having fun doing this thing as a hobby. And so my clients made the decision for me, as weird as that sounds. And now, today, what has changed with the way that I hire, back then it was a hire out of necessity. Oh my God, please, we just have to fix this problem. Now today, this kind of goes hand in hand with the last question, which is one of the things that I would consider a dictator of growth and success for the agency is being able to charge enough and make enough money that I can reach out and work with the people that are the most talented, the coolest, the most fun to work with, where money is not an issue. Where I can say, hey, you know what? You're the person I want to work with. I don't really care what you charge. Let's work together on something. To me, being able to work with people like that, people that I would want to hang out with after work, if I can do that and I can afford them, then that's success.
So about 7 years ago, I had a client site that we were building, and they needed a Flash animation. And I had no idea how to do that, and it actually was something that was acceptable to do back then, for the most part. So one of my friends actually in high school, he knew how to build those. He built like Flash games where you could like have little stick figures that would fight each other. So I was like, can you do something commercially? He goes, I'll figure it out, right? So I actually hired him to build that, but then from there he built, he became one of my first employee, where he was working on WordPress websites with me. And it really, for me, honestly, I don't know if it's an imposter syndrome or whatever else it is, but I never consider myself a coder. For the most part, I'm doing business development. I'm just making sure that I'm taking whatever the client wants and kind of turning it into a technical solution. And so obviously in my business, if we have coding needs and I need developers for it, and right now it's me and 2 developers, but it's always, we use a lot of scheduling software to see what, how many projects we have. And we're even at the point where I'm kind of debating if we need another developer. So it's really, for me, it's capacity in terms of the number of projects that we're running into. And at the same time, what kind of projects that we're working on. We do a lot of back-end stuff, so I have to have it that we have back-end developers. But at the same time, sometimes I notice that we're getting a little bit more of the front-end stuff, so we have to kind of migrate or find people that can help us in that regard.
The first person I partnered with was my wife, which, hey, it will be easier because we had already partnered with before. And, but she was very much she took over the management of the brand because I could not do that. And that was why I was doing 80 hours, because I was having 2 full-time positions in the company. There was plenty of studies that showed basically over 60 hours a week you're not really getting anything done. But I was doing 2 distinct jobs. When she took that over, our revenue went up 215% in 6 months. I would forget to invoice clients because I'm already building the next project. Invoicing is important if you want to get paid. But so that was the first one. The second one, who was the other partner in the agency, I reviewed his code for 30 seconds. I was so backed up. I had so much work I needed to get done. I was like, yeah, let's do it. That was the extent of the work. And he contracted with us for about a year, and then came up full time as a partner. It was fantastic. The last hire, absolutely, we went through the full gambit with the code, with the culture fit, things like that. I think culture to a degree was blown because it masks certain things, but the people I want to work with are not like me. I absolutely want to find people that have different points of view, experience, and skill sets. I don't need another suburban white kid on my team. Got it. I want people that have done different things in their life and to bring a view, a point of view and a perspective that I will never have. And that is what we look for when we're bringing on even people at contract, which we do occasionally. When we're getting ready to hire folks, we kind of map out what we're going to be doing before we even begin to talk to people. And before we ever put out a job posting, we kind of talk to some folks we know, kind of what we're looking for. We happen to know anybody who's looking. And that way we can kind of make sure that the people that we're getting in front of are people that we already know, okay, hey, they come from someone we trust, we can do the work, and we think we're going to be a good fit. I need to be able to hang out with them. They need to be able to know that I'm before 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm sure. Because I haven't had any time, I haven't enough coffee yet. Things like that. We need to be able to fit together, but I don't want more I'm enough for me.
Yeah, I'm at WordPress-Orlando now, but we've only been in business for 3 years. Before that, my company name was Easily Amused, and that started outside of high school. We started in high school doing that. So originally started with Andrew here. We worked with him way back then, and we started as him and one other person, right out of high school. We should do this, and then that was good for a while. When the economy tanked pretty bad, and then we kind of went down. And then I did it on my own for several years. And then what happened was running the business was taking more time than doing the work. Like what you were saying, I was doing 20, 30 hours of work a week that had nothing to do with production, and it wasn't helping me. So at that point, I was like, well, maybe I should start thinking about growing the team. And now, when we bring someone on, it's always someone with a skill set that's way better than me. I mean, I'm a designer by trade, and we hire illustrators that are amazing. I want someone who's going to make my skill sets look bad. So when we hire those people on the team, they're going to make your company look amazing as well. So hire great resources and hire dependable people that you can hang out with and have a quick little argument with and have a beer and then everything's fine. You need people that get it and understand.
How did you, I guess, can I ask?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
How did you decide if you wanted it so that you were focusing when you were hiring, if you were going to hire somebody that did the business side or the craft side, right? So how did you decide who was going to do what, or who was going to take, or what parts of your skill set were going to be taken over?
Well, when I was working on my own, I have a degree in art, so I actually started in print and then worked in the web. So I don't like the term much anymore because I've found that my guys are way better than me, so I don't qualify to call myself a unicorn. But I acted as a unicorn for years, doing everything myself. So I could do that. And I was good at design. I was good at front end. So I didn't like doing the invoicing because I would forget. Or I would have checks sitting on I had a couple times I was cleaning my office and found like $1,000 worth of checks. And they were all expired. They were past 90 days. It's like, this is a problem. So yeah, at that point you're like, well, this isn't my cup of tea. I can barely record my time correctly, and honestly, I don't even do that. So yeah, that person, we need people that are better skill sets than me, and that was, I enjoyed creating. I didn't enjoy housekeeping.
So we're about